Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion.
Okay, this is wild. Without Caitlin Clark on the floor, the WNBA is in a massive financial slump, totally powerless to stop their entire empire from collapsing. It's like they've learned absolutely nothing about protecting the one player who single-handedly dragged them from total obscurity into the spotlight. This is the insane story of a league that keeps shooting itself in the foot while its biggest star is sidelined, and how their stubborn refusal to face reality is costing them millions every single day.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
Look, facts are hard to come by in this era of staged drama and social media outrage, especially when it comes to sold-out WNBA games without Caitlin Clark. But the harsh truth about the league's reliance on one player blew up in everyone's face when Clark was first sidelined on May 24th with a quad injury. Now, she's out with a groin injury, and honestly, who knows when she'll be back. So yeah, we're seeing a painful rerun of what happened just a few weeks ago.
Injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation, but the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
Let me break this down for you. Nationally televised WNBA viewership absolutely cratered by an astounding 55%, dropping from an average of over 1.8 million when Clark was playing, down to a measly 47,000 without her. And get this, games involving the Indiana Fever themselves saw a shocking 53% drop in viewers. But here's where the story gets completely absurd, and by absurd I mean dangerously disastrous for a league that seems allergic to taking responsibility for its own epic screw-up.
Clark went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55%. Yikes. Across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th. National TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
So while Caitlin Clark was out there doing what she does best, filling arenas, smashing TV rating records, and raking in record-breaking cash, the WNBA was busy doing what they do best, absolutely nothing to protect their most valuable asset. Apparently, it's perfectly reasonable to let opponents repeatedly target a player who accounts for a whopping 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity, all while lecturing everyone about just basketball plays. What's so intriguing, and by intriguing I mean extremely enraging, is that this exact situation has played out before, but the league apparently can't learn from its past. The WNBA has literally seen revenue and viewership plummet after its top player got injured before. It's like watching someone touch a hot stove, burn themselves, and then immediately reach for it again, claiming they had no idea it was hot.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her family.
And hey, if you're finding this whole situation as wild as I am, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The financial catastrophe, by the way, has hit fast and hard. Fever game ticket prices have dropped by a staggering 71%, with some going from $860 all the way down to $250. The average cost of tickets for all of Clark's missed games plummeted from $1,370 to just $80, a truly mind-blowing drop that screams volumes about who actually drives interest in this league. Remember those games that were rescheduled to bigger venues specifically to meet the insane demand for Clark tickets? Yeah, those are now struggling to fill arenas that would have been absolutely overflowing if she were there. Even one of the season's most anticipated matchups, the Chicago Sky vs. Fever rematch, saw ticket prices nosedive from $210 to just $95. That game previously pulled in 2.25 million people, making it one of the most watched WNBA games ever. Without Clark, though, it's just another game, and casual viewers simply aren't tuning in.
What's really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season, and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. With the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone.
One of the loudest voices calling out the WNBA's pathetic treatment of its star player is veteran sports writer Christine Brennan, whose upcoming book on Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports promises to spill all the tea on the league's epic shortcomings. After yet another incident where opponents clearly targeted Clark, Brennan flat out stated, "The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment. This is what people see when they watch in greater numbers than ever before." And Brennan's criticism hits right where it hurt. According to league figures, Clark alone pulls in over half of the league's entire television audience. But despite that, they still allow her to endure harsh fouls and cheap shots that are literally just designed to intimidate their biggest draw. It's like a restaurant owner letting patrons openly taunt the chef whose cooking is the only reason anyone shows up to the place.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are gonna drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA have successfully broken Caitlin Clark.
Honestly, the trend is getting frustratingly predictable. Opponents who seem more interested in making a statement than actually playing basketball are constantly fouling Clark. Get this. 5 of the league's 30 egregious fouls against Clark happened just in 2024, with the Chicago Sky being responsible for a ridiculous 80% of those flagrant fouls. If she reacts to the physical play, she gets slammed for being overly combative. If she doesn't react, she gets called soft. The league has engineered a no-win scenario for her, and they're completely unwilling to fix it. Meanwhile, the entire WNBA ecosystem, not just the Fever, is still taking a massive financial hit. The league was already projected to lose $50 million this year. Despite the initial Clark-driven surge in popularity, those losses are now exploding at an alarming rate while she's not playing. As TV ratings plummet, merchandise sales stall, and attendance numbers crash back to their pre-Clark levels.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour, or whatever the circuit is that they play on, than Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA.
But here's the most tragic part about this whole catastrophe. It was entirely avoidable. When Clark first stepped onto the court, she was a humble rookie, always complimenting her teammates and trying to deflect attention away from herself. For a 22-year-old, she showed incredible maturity and grace while dealing with constant criticism. The league had this golden opportunity to embrace her, protect her, and actually leverage her fame to elevate the entire game. Instead, they let petty politics and outright jealousy completely ruin what should have been a massive celebration of women's basketball. And the consequences of Clark's injuries go way beyond just ticket sales and TV ratings. Millions of dollars were committed by corporate sponsors who are now seriously questioning their choices in light of the vanishing Clark-driven growth. This entire situation shines a harsh spotlight on a huge problem with the WNBA's self-presentation. The league seems totally torn between desperately embracing every bit of staged drama that might spark social media interaction and actually wanting to be taken seriously as a professional basketball business. Newsflash, you can't have both. Professional leagues protect their stars and uphold the integrity of competition. High school drama clubs stir up controversy hoping anyone will pay attention.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through this?
The contrast with other professional sports leagues, as I mentioned, is glaring and honestly embarrassing. What if the NBA allowed players to use dirty tactics to target LeBron James for months, all while maintaining that the sport was just competitive? That league would shut it down immediately and suspend players faster than you can say flagrant foul, but the WNBA seems perfectly content to let this damaging trend continue. It's like they think any attention, even negative attention, is good attention. Because of the toxic atmosphere created by the league's inability to defend Clark, WNBA fans are now refusing to attend other games because they genuinely don't believe the sport is still competitive. And when your own supporters are saying they won't watch games without your biggest star because they don't trust the officiating, you've got a massive credibility issue that stretches far beyond just ratings and income.
I admire about Caitlin, she's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players. You don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I done seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
The WNBA has had so many chances to change direction, but they've consistently failed, which only makes this whole situation worse. Every single incident involving Clark should have been a flashing red light for the league to lay down clear guidelines for player safety and fair play. Instead, every time, we get the same tired old answers about basketball plays and letting the players play. Ironically, Clark's injury, the exact thing the league should have been trying to prevent, has given us the absolute clearest indication of her true value to the business. A 55% viewership decline? That's not a small thing. Yet, despite this overwhelming evidence, there's little to no proof that the WNBA has actually taken this lesson to heart. League officials keep spouting phrases like competitive balance and allowing players to be physical, as if dirty plays and cheap shots are somehow essential for the game. They just keep overlooking genuinely dangerous plays against Clark, while simultaneously treating normal basketball plays involving her as if they're serious incidents.
The cleanup, I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on, she getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets hurt?
Look, there's no fancy, complicated answer to this problem. The WNBA needs to make some seriously tough choices about what kind of league it actually wants to be. If they want to be recognized as a professional basketball organization, they have to start acting like one. They need to set crystal clear rules about player safety and enforce them consistently, every single time. The actual basketball game must no longer be overshadowed by all these manufactured controversies. And above all, they need to finally acknowledge that their biggest performers, especially the ones who actually pack arenas and drive television ratings, need to be shielded from the kind of trolling and targeting that does absolutely nothing more than create social media drama. The WNBA's ongoing drop in revenue, attendance, and viewership after Clark left is a harsh, sobering reminder of what the league was before she came along, and what it will absolutely become, again, if they don't drastically change their strategy. Without Clark, the league's average viewership this season was a pathetic 555,000, which is actually lower than the 670,000 average from last year. These numbers aren't just stats, they signify a complete return to that pre-Clark era of empty stadiums and totally pointless games that only the most diehard fans bothered to attend.
Every day because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game, but we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now, let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money?
And the most awful part of this entire messed up circumstance is that it truly didn't have to be this way. The WNBA could have leveraged Clark's massive popularity to build a rock-solid foundation for long-term growth if their star player had been properly protected and promoted. Instead, they've built this house of cards that completely crumbles the second their greatest draw leaves the court. The WNBA is just gonna keep cycling through these boom and bust periods where the presence or absence of one player decides whether anyone even bothers to pay attention, until they finally figure out how to safeguard and truly promote the players who actually generate real interest in their league. So the big question is, will the WNBA ever learn to protect their prized asset, or will they just keep this damaging trend going until they've squandered every single opportunity that Caitlin Clark's fame has given them? From everything we've seen so far, it honestly doesn't look like the league is suddenly getting any smarter.